Welcome to the 6th episode of Mechs on Deck. We're here talking about the custom keyboard buyer's guide we've kind of put together today. We kind of put it together using one of our favorite sites and something that we both used when we were starting out to purchase our first boards. I know Chewy's had quite a few at this point, and I think we're both planning to get a few more from them here in a couple of months, and that is KBD Fans. It's a great place to start, and we've kind of built a little guide for you, all from KBD Fans. But first, I think Chewy has a couple things to show us that he got in the mail this past week.
If it wasn't extremely copywritten, we could do a from Blue's Clues. We just got a letter. All right, I got some cool stuff. UK Mr. Sleeves. I'll pull these out real quick. Sorry for the
add-on kit that just showed up.
The add-on kit. It's came out of nowhere, and I know a lot of people were super stoked that it just kind of showed up. But Nathan Kim from Teha Types, I think that's how you say it. He's got his famous little sweatshirt that he did his typing videos in, and the colors came out great. I think I love them. I've got them for GMK Muted, which will be going on Volumina upon that's arrival. And then I also got Modern Dolch.
Looking mighty fine.
Or I guess it's, as Dixie said, it's Moto for short. I have to say, this is one of the cleanest key sets I have ever seen. It truly surprised me. I didn't know how I would like the dark alphas and dark mods because I usually prefer keycap sets with the white alphas. Not that I have a true preference. I just realized that that's kind of what I lean towards. So, and I also got a 1UP PCB that I did build over the weekend, and not bad for $45 shipped US. I was impressed. It's got north-facing LEDs, which is a little strange, but works just fine. And it doesn't have what we call Swiss cheese, so the layouts are slightly more limited. But to me, that's I know what I want, so I know that it helps. So, but that's it for the mail for this week.
Yeah.
For me, don't really have anything.
I'm still working on building my mail from the previous episode. Had a busy week with work, so gotta get that finished. Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick disclaimer: we are not sponsored by KBD Fans. This is something that we decided to do on our own accord. We do really like KBD Fans, but just to make things clear, this is not something that they asked us to do or even know that we're doing. So,
yeah, and some of these other products that we're going through can be purchased through other sites. We just figured doing it all through one place, so then that way, if you are looking to purchase kind of your first board or trying to get a board that you'll have while you wait for maybe something that you got in a group buy, KBD Fans is a great place to get something that's in stock, ready to go, and will ship to you in pretty decent time, especially the fact that it's coming from China.
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and hop on over.
So the first thing that we'll talk about is cases. So what we're going to do, I'll lay this out for you, is there's a progression of cases. You can go for the less expensive plastic cases. They're not going to be as heavy. They're not going to be as sturdy, but they are going to be affordable. Just like this 60%, $15, $14.90 USD. So, and then we'll kind of move up the ranks of the plastic cases and then into the aluminum cases and then the higher quality cases. And we'll also go over the keycaps because you can definitely get some cheaper keycaps that will work. And then moving into kind of the nicer, higher quality keycaps, but obviously at a more expensive price. And then the kind of tiers of switch prices and switches that we think you should go for, because there is kind of that tiered list in pricing. And with that, some of that comes at a premium price per what you're actually getting. And what I'll take a moment to recommend getting a switch tester, because before you do buy any of this stuff, I would recommend getting a switch tester, because you switches have the most impact on your typing experience. Fight me on that all you want, but you want to get something that you so.
Yeah, especially because the fact once we get to the switches, you'll see just on the one pack that KBD Fans has on here, there's like 70 different options. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
And um, if you're flying blind and you go and look at that page, it is a little overwhelming. So it's always good to kind of have a grasp of what you like and what you'll want before you go to purchase the switches. But first up, we've got this 60% plastic case. As Chewy said, it's $14.90. Good place to start. You want a beater board you can kind of throw around, or if you're just starting out and you're not really sure what all you want, but you want somewhere that you can start out light and kind of build from, this is a great place to start.
Yeah, and you get some different colors too, which can make it kind of fun. And one of our favorite aspects of this is, if I don't know how in the hobby I would be if every single board was a black board with black keycaps and white lettering. Some of the fun is kind of creating a theme or getting some of your favorite colors on there to really personalize it. And, with this case, it kind of helps, with being able to bring that little, we talk about experience a lot. And, if you want to build a purple keyboard with purple keycaps, you absolutely can. So, and for someone who's starting and they're going, well, not only do I want something that is cool to type on, I want something that's cool to look at. This is a good place to get really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and real quick, we are suggesting a lot of 60 to 65% boards in this. So, a lot of people are coming from that TKL or from the full size layouts. So you might be a little off put by some of these. So this buyer's guide is focusing a little bit more on 60, 65% due to the prices. We're trying to suggest prices that are acceptable for kind of a new incoming buyer. And so sometimes when you get those bigger layouts, they are going to be a little more expensive. And there's nothing wrong with those bigger layouts, but we just are going to suggest smaller form factors.
Yeah, and one thing that's great about this case, another thing that they offer to really kind of fill it out is they have, your DZ60, which on here you can even see that they have some switches, which we'll get into this later. So really at like, what is that, together $80, you can get a pretty much a full board. It comes with stabilizers. All you'll need to add is caps. So that's a great addition to that 60% plastic case.
And that's if you get those switches. You can go even cheaper with some of those switches. Some of the switches are obviously more expensive than others. So
yeah, if you go to Gatorons, you're looking at a $60 board with plus caps. So, which you might, if you already have a board, you could just pull them off of, if you have a old Corsair or Ducky or something that has a standard bottom row. So probably not a Corsair, but but if it's a Ducky board or something like that, or maybe even something from Cooler Master, you could throw those caps on here and you'd be set.
Yeah, absolutely. And I recommend the DZ60. Great PCB. I think I've owned at least 3 or 4 in my day, and it's a solid quality PCB, especially for the price.
Yeah, absolutely. And then up next, kind of my favorite. I'm actually typing on one of these right now. That's a Tada68.
Yeah. Great board, great entry level, great price. It's such a complete package, especially with the plastic case. Now, I've owned one of these, and I know Eric owns 2 of these actually. And they're fantastic boards. They and you get the keycaps included, which is something that not a lot of boards are kind of throwing at you right now. It's just such a good value price. The keycaps are perfect for what they're used for. You are kind of locked into that specific layout, but I mean, for $90 for keycaps, PCB stabilizers, and a case, and then you tack on some MX blacks or something like that, something on the cheaper side, you can get a solid for around $120 shipped, which is nothing to shy away from. That's an awesome experience typing right out of the box.
Yeah, this was my first board was this exact kit with a set of Gatoron Browns that I put in, and that was the first custom board I ever built. And went from there, upgraded them. Um, as Chewy's saying, it's a great way to get started. Um, there's a lot of videos, especially the one that they link here. This is a great video on teaching you how to kind of build this board in particular, and you can use it and apply it to any other board that you're trying to build. There are options for the different colors of aluminum high profile cases, but one thing that they didn't have when I purchased both of my Tada68s, and something that's fairly new when it comes to the 65% KBD fan offerings, is this. It is the Tofu 65% aluminum case, which at $109, you can kind of add on or move up from your Tada that you purchased. Say you bought it and then 6 months later, you're like, I want to make this thing look a little bit more fancy. You can get this Tofu 65% with a brass weight. Nice clean lines, clean build, great build quality, and it'll fit right in there.
Yeah, I have personally never bought one of these, but I have seen them and typed on them before. It's I can't stress enough. It's a solid board. It is as close to a high end board as you're going to get at this price. It's got that kind of TX style, just slab of brass that it adds a decent amount of weight. I'm not going to say it adds a huge amount of weight, but it does add a solid amount of weight. And in this community, weight equals premium, and so you do kind of get that awesome premium feeling. And the fact that you don't have to buy this immediately, you can buy the board and build the board and be typing on something, and then a couple months later, exactly what Eric here did, you just decide, hey, I want something different, and it's a 10-minute switch,
Yeah.
and the next thing you know, you're typing on something that looks and feels cooler and better than what you had. So
Yeah, and what's also great is they offer a couple different colors. It looks right now they're out of stock on silver, but they do offer in silver, gray, black, and chocolate. So you do have a little bit of customizability when it comes to the different color schemes you can go with. Obviously, if you're looking for something that ventures a little bit further, they do have the aluminum high and low profile cases in like red and blue, and some purples and stuff like that. But this is definitely a step above those high and low profile cases that KBD Fans does offer as a supplemental case to the Tada68, or I believe it fits. Yes, it does fit the YD68 PCB as well. That they offer.
And you can actually get this case in a kit as well. It's about 175, and then on top of that, you go buy the Tada keycaps. You're looking at $200 plus some switches. So 200 plus whatever switches you want. So you could spend anywhere from $20 to $80 on switches. So that's something that's really neat about this. Eric, I know you touched on this on our high end versus low end episode, is you have that ability to kind of move up. You can start low and kind of move up, where some boards and some companies, a lot, especially with group buys, you don't really get that opportunity to upgrade. It's your upgrade is usually just a new board, where this you can kind of upgrade completely into a different case, which is, in my opinion, awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And one moving on to the next is the other version of the Tofu. It's that 60%. And this is kind of the same thing as in terms of the 65%. If you did start out with that plastic case, that 60% plastic case, you can upgrade to this. You have
Mhm.
a lot more color options here than you do with the 65%. This, again, I know we'll get into Chewy's board that he's actually been using pretty often the past couple of weeks. He loves his Tofu. These are fantastic boards. It's just it looks about the same, just a little bit smaller. It does not have the um, brass weight on the bottom in the same way that the 65% does, but
Mhm.
it is still a super clean look.
And I'll go on record right here as me the Tofu case came out with a brass weight in this year. It would not surprise me at all if they decide to add that bottom brass weight to the Tofu case, make kind of the Tofu Deluxe. But this, you get your purple boards, you get you got brown. They have like dark green, I believe, and then obviously your silver, gray, and black as kind of the standard tricolor options. It's a great board. The anodization alone is worth the $88.
Yeah, I've seen one of the dark green boards in person, and that is a mighty fine looking uh, little board.
Mm-hmm.
There's a meetup here a couple months ago, and a guy had one this color. It's like a really nice little army green. It pairs well with some keycaps. It looks great with just like a standard um, black on white keycap, or even the inverse of that. It looks really clean. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
And that's something that like we said a second ago, you can get that grade, and you're getting the higher quality case, and with that anodization, and it does add that extra heft. It's just something that is nicer, and so having that kind of experience and seeing, you're going to see a lot of these out in the wild because it is frequently in stock. They even recently, you can at a premium price, I think it's about $14 more, you can actually get one of these in a white. I think it's like electrophoresis. I can't pronounce the name.
mhm.
But white, so they actually started making this in a white color too, so you can even kind of go into that. A lot of people love that white theme of the kind of clean all white look, and with that you can kind of go. They have the Enjoy PBT does have a set that's just black and white, and it's all white, so you can kind of go with that theme. uh, so the Tofu, I think, really kind of revolutionized the 60% case world. It came out late summer last year in 2018, so it's a great little board.
Yeah, yeah. And so, up next we're kind of getting a little bit deeper into it. This is a little bit
Mhm.
more of an investment to start out with. Not insanely high, but and that's going to kind of segue into the kind of full tofu build,
Mhm.
which is the we're showing off the win keyless option, but there is also both standard and then of course the HHKB option as well.
Mhm. So on the WIN keyless and the HHKB, there is a integrated plate, and what that means is typically on this, all the cases we've shown you so far, the PCB and the plate are together, and you actually screw that onto the board. Where these boards, as you can kind of tell in this picture, it's all machined out of the top piece is all machined out of one piece. So there is no extra piece. You basically just stick the PCB right onto the plate, and you put the switches into the plate, but the top piece and the plate are all kind of one, and that's something that can be really convenient because it's actually, to me, a little bit easier. In this, you are kind of I want to say trapped, but you are locked into the layout of this. And I will mention this does have a split backspace and a 7U space bar. So it is going to be kind of a non-standard layout for what most people are going to be uh, going for. And on top of that, you are going to start getting limited on what keycap sets you can get. especially with that 7U spacebar. But it's I have one of these in the wing keyless version. It's a fantastic board. I think, if you're wanting, there are some people probably just going, I want something that is going to be great. It's going to basically be the only board that I buy, and I would recommend one of these because it is at that 160 range. It's starting to get a lot higher, and you haven't even bought switches and keycaps yet, but it does come with a hot swap PCB too, so you can kind of get multiple switches, and it takes about 20-30 minutes to swap them out, and it's pretty convenient. So
Yeah, this is a great board to really get a high end feel. Uh, I know, fixed plate is going to feel a lot different than, you know, your standard plates that are kind of all encompassing and feature support for lots of different layouts. Having this fixed plate is going to be a little bit tighter feel. Obviously, having it being all one piece for the top as well will change the way that it feels, and you get a little bit more of a premium feel that way at a very reasonable price. Like Chewy did say, you are locked into this layout, but that's something that is easily something you can easily get used to. But yeah, just make sure you watch out for that 7U spacebar. I know one of our buddies recently got a hot swap. I think it was it a win keyless tofu? Or was it a standard?
It was just a tofu, but it just had the 6X, which is the PCB in here is the 6X. You can find that on their product page. They might be sold out of it right now, but and that locks you because it's a hot swap board. You can't really. You can switch between wing keyless and HHKB, and you can even use it in a full board with the kind of full 7U bottom row layout. But you are locked in because there's only one place to put the switch, whereas a more custom PCB like the DZ60 has multiple layouts.
But it was funny because he didn't have a 7U space bar, so he was trying to kind of balance a key as a space bar for a couple days while he waited for a set that he had purchased to come in. But yeah,
I think we were playing Borderlands. Space bar.
Yeah.
So I wound up having to switch back to his old board it was, and he got his keycaps on the other day, but this is what I was talking about the other day. It's great to have your keycaps before you get the board.
Yeah.
Or at least get them all at the same time.
And one thing to note, this PCB is also USB-C, so you're kind of future-proofed a little bit as well. And this is kind of what you was talking about with it being integrated. It just sits right there. It's really easy to get those switches in with a hot swap. You just press them on in. It's an easy build.
I highly recommend you can mess up your PCB, so kind of a caution whenever you are building this. Make sure that you you don't just pull it out. Make sure you unscrew the bottom piece, take it out, lay that PCB against your table or desk mount or whatever, and push them in, because if you do push them in too hard, those little hot swap sockets will pop out. And if you don't have a solder, if you're getting this because of the fact that you don't want to have to solder, you could accidentally pop those out, and then you might have to solder. Now, if you have a soldering gun, I've done this. It takes 5 seconds. You just pop a little solder on there, and it's good to go. But just something worth noting.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get some pressure on those guys so they don't just pop off, and then all of a sudden your escape key doesn't work, and you can't get out of the game that you're trying to play.
So, and at that kind of low to mid tier, I can't recommend this enough. We have one of our buds in the Discord. I think his name is Tim the Enchanter. He just got his tofu and loves it. And anyone that if you 60%, anyone that I've spoken to that I've never seen someone upset with it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I think is really cool is they do offer a couple different options where you can mix and match the colors, which gives you just another level of customization to it.
Yeah.
So that's going to be kind of it as far as the different cases or kits that we're going to talk about with the win keyless, or I mean, not with the win keyless, but with the 60 and 65% that we're kind of recommending. So now we're going to kind of
Actually, sorry, one last thing worth noting. On the you have both sides of that
Yep.
tofu. You can actually use. Sorry, I forgot to mention this because that picture.
Mhm.
You can actually put the USB on both sides,
Yep.
which is cool. For wherever you want to put your cable. So just another neat little feature. It comes with a nice little uh, polished brass little magnet strip, and you kind of slide it back and forth. So that's just another customizability. I saw that and I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. That's very unique. There's not a whole lot of boards doing that kind of flexibility where you can put the USB on either side, left or right. But yeah, so getting into keycaps, if you are starting out, you get that plastic case that doesn't come with the caps. This right here is a great option, just a standard keycap set. Just as a note, if you are going with like a win keyless tofu, this specific kit right here does not come with a 7U space bar or support for split backspace. It's just a standard layout.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so if you're going for that ANSI, what's called the ANSI or ANS layout, just going to be the number row with the backspace, in the bottom row with the 3 1.25 keys and the 4 1.25 on the right with the 6.25 space bar. A lot of key sets are going to go this way, and for a standard open ANSI layout, it's great for that. But just know you are going to be kind of limited on the set. But at the price, this is $50. A lot of keycap sets, or some of the cheaper ones, are going to be in that 30 to 50 to 60 keycap range. And yes, you are getting some cool keycaps, and this is for cherry profile, obviously. And we'll do another episode about cherry profile versus other profiles, but this is kind of closest to that OEM cherry profile kind of keycaps that are the most common.
right.
So, but once again, at the price you're not paying for compatibility.
Yeah, if you're coming from a board like Ducky or Razer or even Logitech or Corsair, you're going to be familiar with the sculpt of these keycaps. It's not going to be quite as bit of a shock as if you were going straight into like DSA or even SA, where it's like a completely different feel and sound versus what you're used to. So this is a great set. It's good quality. The legends are high quality. Everything looks good. It's going to last a long time.
Yeah, being PBT, it's definitely going to last a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And the next, speaking of PBT, KBD Fans always has a healthy stock of different Enjoy PBT keycaps. If you're really trying to customize your board, but you don't want to necessarily wait 3 months for a GMK set, these are fantastic. They're super high quality, especially for the money, and they have great options as far as the keycap sets. Get back to this so you can see this one will have a 7U space bar, as well as some other functionality for like your 65%. You've got the short shift there, so this is great. And you get your stepped caps lock. I know Chewy over there enjoys a stepped caps lock too.
Unfortunately, hot swap step caps lock. So the one I'm using a hot one up board on my TX60 right here, but the TX60 I built over the weekend, I did switch into a stepped caps lock.
Yeah, so that was one of the first things he said when we built his first board was, I need to have stepped caps lock.
Stepped caps lock. So it is worth noting you do not get standard split backspace row, but you do have enough keys to fill that in with that extra tilde, and then maybe like an F key or a delete key or something. It'll still work. It'll still function in that set. So.
Yeah, and you have tons and tons of options in terms of color. It is all really kind of like that off-white color as far as the actual caps, but then the different languages, even same language in different colors. You've got some of my favorites, the Korean ones. The green and blue is one of my favorites, as well as the Japanese. I know Chewy's not a big fan of the the crowded numbers.
those busy number rows, but it does. I love that. I think that is one of the coolest looking sets that you can get, especially for the price. I actually did own a black on black set of this, and really really liked it. I wound up selling it as a with a black Tina as kind of a whole package, but it's a great keycap set. And then Enjoy PBT recently, they're all sold out of them now, but they've also added even more keycap sets with way more compatibility. So just kind of keep an eye on those as well. With they kind of did the black on white, where it's just a clean white set. They've done a 9009 copy. They've grayscale, just kind of a GMK muted copy. They are sold out right now, but they have been restocking them. So
yeah, and one thing is, if you do get into an Enjoy PBT like group buy per se, they've just finished a couple, and there's actually one up right now, I believe, on KBD Fans. The Enjoy PBT does have a little bit quicker turnaround than GMK. It's not quite 3 months. I believe it typically comes out in about 2.5 months. So it's a little bit quicker, but still great quality. And it's typically at a little bit lower price. You can see some of these, like the Sushi Japanese, which is this one that we were talking about, that has the little bit crowded numbers that Dave doesn't like, but I really enjoy specifically the Sushi Cap.
Absolutely. Gotta love the Sushi Cap.
These do get a little bit more, just you pay a little premium for the different colors, but they're great caps, and they look fantastic on the Tofus, or even the plastic case if you decide you want to go that way.
Yeah, and then kind of your next step up is going to be, we're just talking about cherry keycaps because most people are not really going to take the plunge into SA immediately or DSA, but your next step is going to be a GMK set, and that's kind of that third tier of keycap sets. And those you're going to have to find on group buys. I would say originative.com if you're impatient and really want a GMK keycap set, but those are going to run you anywhere between group buy pricing. Sometimes you get, we've seen them lower with taking out the numpad. We've seen them go as low as $100, but a lot of times you're going to be paying around $150 for all the keycaps that you want. So,
yeah. And then up next is the kind of the final piece of that, and that is the switches. And as Chewy said, the first thing you should do
is get a switch tester.
Yeah, there you go. His little plug.
Gotta love it. So there are lots of switches. Tons and tons of switches. You can get switch tester from KBD Fans, by the way. But tons of different switches. And so what we're going to talk about really quick is kind of the tiered list of what switches you want. So your kind of first tier is the Gatorons and cherries. A lot of people, really like you're going to find a lot of these switches out in the wild, on big name, box brand keyboards. You're going to find a lot of these cherry and Gatoron, blacks, reds, browns, and all that stuff. And you're going to find those. You've probably typed on a few of them without even. So nothing wrong with cherry. The price is low because they have a bigger manufacturing, and they're it's very easy to find. We'll have another episode about what types of switches they are, but I would do your research and kind of double check on what each switch is, and that's another reason we suggest getting a switch tester, so you can kind of have a feel, because you have clicky and linears and tactiles. So and a lot of people swear by cherry black switches, and those are pretty inexpensive. At $23 for 68, that's $23 for everything you would need for a 60% or a 65%. So
yeah, there's a lot of different options. Typically Gatoron are a little bit less expensive than the cherries, but there are some people that say like specific Gatorons are a little bit smoother or a better feel than what you would get out of some of the cherry equivalents. So like you said, do your research, get a switch tester, figure it out for yourself. It's never a bad thing. There are kind of the next tier up would be when you start getting into more of like your custom switches and like your Kale switches. So you
Mhm.
have a lot of your kind of like baseline Kale switches, which there are some that aren't on this specific page. But they're gonna like the Kale Pro Purple, and then even into some of the like the Kale Box White or the Box Reds. Those are gonna be a little bit more premium, a little bit different, especially something like the Box White is going to be a very unique feel. Which will, as Chewy said, when we talk about our when we do the different Switch type videos, we will talk a little bit deeper about this. But this uses a click bar rather than a click jacket, which is what both your Gatoron and your Cherry switches typically use for clicky. So it does give you a little bit feel. And just as a note, anything that says box is enclosed in a not 100% waterproof, but dust proof, a little bit water resistant casing. So that way, if you were to spill something on your board, it's not going to completely ruin it. So that's one thing to note when you are looking at these switches is, hey, I'm a little bit clumsy. I spill that glass of water on my keyboard all the time. So I might want to go for some boxes, so that way you're a little bit set.
And then moving up, you have kind of the very next tier. So a lot of these switches are what's the kind of cent, price per switch. So a lot of the switches we've talked about are in the 25 to 30 25 cents per switch to 30 to 35 35 cents per switch, and then into that 5 cents per switch or $5 per 10, you're going to find some really cool and unique switches, kind of like the all your Royal Heiko switches and the Box Royal switches are great. You've got the new linear from Novel Keys, the cream switch. It's not listed on this one, but they do have and the T1 switches from KBD Fans, which we talked about or we showed a second ago. But that's kind of something. And a lot of people, if you've been in this community and you're going through the subreddit, a lot of people, you'll probably have seen the Holy Panda, which is kind of the what people were aiming. And we'll once again another episode, the Holy Panda, something that we could talk about for a long time, but going after it's very tactile. It's not clicky. It's not linear. There's a bump, but it's this very heavy bump for these switches. And so you are going to move into it is a little bit pricier, but I would a lot of times you know this is where you really start noticing that big difference between the T1 switch and something like a Cherry MX Brown. You're really going to start noticing that big difference in quality. So it's and then that's kind of where what we would recommend for a first time buyer to keep the price low. If you are looking to go a little pricier, or if you're looking to spend a little more money, we would recommend Zelios. They have round ones on here, and you're looking at spending about $8 for 10 switches. So that's a lot more expensive than what we've been kind of recommending. But it's $1 switch. But I personally think you're kind of paying that. You're paying the upped price for the upped quality of the switch. So you are getting into that kind of higher level, higher tier. And then the other things you can do is get those Yacht Panda housings, and get some mass drop switches. We'll talk about that. But basically making Holy Pandas anywhere between $1.50 switch. And that's if you're wanting to really kind of go up in the scale of how much money are you wanting to put forward? How much are you willing to kind of shell out just for switches?
Yeah, exactly. And with these Zelios, you get them in a fancy purple color that I very much enjoy.
Absolutely. So our recommendation, Eric, I'm going to let you give our recommendation for budget friendly, great starter board.
Budget friendly, in my opinion, this is kind of where we both started. Is if you're wanting to go start at the very beginning, you can't go wrong with the Tada. All encompassing, everything's there. Add some switches, get some Gatorons if you want to go on the low end. and you're in a board for $120 shipped, and you're ready to go. You just gotta put that together. Get yourself some soldering lessons. Go online, figure it out, and it's not that difficult. Just takes a little bit of patience and time, but you'll be set and ready to go. And then Chewy, what about if you're looking to kind of get in a little bit deeper?
Going a little deeper, that's something I'm definitely guilty of, is diving head is the tofu, especially the tofu wind keyless, because you are getting that complete package. One thing I love is, you're not, especially with the hot swap board, you're not locked into one particular switch. You can change it up. It does not come with keycaps. You are going to have to spend a little bit more on keycaps. But, if you are looking to kind of take that next step and go, I don't mind spending a couple $100, $200, maybe even $300 on the full setup, I would highly recommend this. It's just a great board. And, if you're looking at some of the boards, I understand that obviously those Corsair, those giant premium boards that they have are much bigger. But for something that you're wanting to go, this could be my end game board, the Tofu could be something you're looking for, because you can change out the switches, and it's got the aluminum case, and it's got, a very usable layout. So I think that would be my suggestion for someone looking to spend about 200, 250 for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great case, and it's a great PCB. The whole thing, the whole package is awesome, especially at that price point. And you have a lot of flexibility and a lot of customizability that you don't necessarily get out of like the Corsair of the worlds or the Cooler Master keyboards that are on the market. So yeah, and then really anything over that, if you're looking to dive any deeper, that's when you start getting into that group buy territory. When you start looking at, you're gonna want to do your research on Geekhack and start figuring out, okay, do I want to buy something off Mech Market, or do I want to get into a group buy and wait a couple months for something to kind of come in, or maybe you can get lucky and hop in on an extra. That does happen, but
or Mech Market,
Mech Market, yeah.
You can. There's always Mech Market. You're looking, if you're that person that wants to be, I want something that's never been touched by another human, at least by outside of the factory. I want that brand new feeling. And, this is going to be it. This is the way to go, in my opinion, and in our opinion. So,
absolutely. So I think we've got one thing left to do, and that is keyboard of the week.
Keyboard of the week. So this board is a TGR Alice with a very unique looking keycap set. It is actually two different sets. I do not know the name of the person that owns this. I will look it up and make sure to put it in the description to give credit where credit is due. But to me, this is a very unique looking board. It's very cool what they have done. So basically, they took the Q01 from Unikey keycap set, which is a kind of a gray and purple mods. So all the purple mods and all the purple keys you see come from that set. And then GMK Terminal, which ran in 2018, is just a, kind of cool little computer screen, the old school kind of matrixy look of black and green. And they took the space bars and the alphas from that to create a very cool looking board. And then obviously they have some very nice, very good matchy keycaps, novelty or not, no, artisan keycaps. I don't know the names of any of artisans. That's not something that's really,
not our forte in the slightest.
But it's just a very awesome, especially on the TGR Alice.
Yeah, to me, it almost looks like when they kind of planned this all out, they had these artisans, those three artisans, and they were like, all right, how do I figure out how to get a keycap set that matches these almost perfectly? I think the only way that this could have been more perfectly matched with these artisans would be if the legends on this were that orange color.
Yeah.
But other than that, it is an absolute perfect match. Looks great on the Alice. Obviously, the Alice is just a beautiful board overall. Very unique layout in itself. And yeah, it's a beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful board.
yeah. Sorry we didn't get your name, but description.
Yeah.
But yeah, congratulations, keyboard of the week.
Awesome. Well, I think that is going to do it for episode 6. We're going to go ahead and sign off. We really appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to like and subscribe.
Subscribe. That's a word.
Subscribe. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment on the video if you liked it. Yeah, definitely appreciate all the people. Hit up the Discord.
Absolutely.
Links down below. Anything else you'd like to add in there, Chewy?
I think that's it, and we hope that you can kind of use the video and make some informed decisions and get into this community. It's a great community.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
enjoy. Get a Switch tester.
Bye now.